Hey everyone, and welcome to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, the PlayStation 1, Nintendo 64 version. I'm Ascetic, with me again is Blank Tester.
Hey kids, how's it going?
So yeah, Tony Hawk 3 went to the new console generation, the PlayStation 2, Gamecube, Xbox, but it was such a popular series that it made sense to keep trying to make them for the previous console generation as well. And so while Neversoft was working on the version for Generation 6, Activision took their newly acquired studio Shaba Games, who you might have known from Grind Session, a competitor to the Tony Hawk series, and got them to work on the, Gen 5 version of the game. And so this is really interesting to see for me, since, I never played this version before doing it now for Tony 20. And it's Shaba Games basically took the Tony Hawk 2 engine and still added some of the new elements to it, like reverts, for example. They've got reverts in the game, and the levels are going to match the levels that are, in the Gen 6 version, but you are gonna see some differences.
So it's really like we get to see two different dev teams approach the same project and see how they took it in different directions? Well, one of them has to deal with technical limitations as well. Right.
Yeah, I guess Shaba Games kind of trying to match as best they can what Neversoft is doing, or deliver something similar, as equivalent as possible, I guess.
It's interesting that happened as well, because, between, we were talking about this between recordings, from PS1 to PS2, I'll just talk about the PlayStations, but this is true of the other companies' consoles as well. PS1 to PS2, there were games where they tried to release them for both generations, and when they did, they were totally different games. And then PS2 to PS3, they did the same thing. But PS3 to PS4, they never really did that, because I think the PS3 and PS4 were close enough in power that you could kind of just release the same thing on both with graphical decreases. But It's interesting that they tried to keep this one similar, as opposed to doing what they would do for basically every other game, which is, we're making a PS1 version, just put out some shit.
Yeah.
Sometimes that some shit was better, but usually it was just have some other team do some shit and put the same title on it.
Right. But yeah, this really kind of feels almost like a mod of Tony Hawk 2. Where someone made the levels that were in Tony Hawk 3, the Gen 6 version, for the Tony Hawk 2 engine kind of thing, where, you see, when we get to, Thug Pro, and everyone's remade all the old levels.
Yeah, exactly.
This is taking levels that, would come out later and bringing them back, sort of.
Yeah, backporting them or whatever. I saw there's a mod for Doom. I guess it's a WAD for Doom, the original Doom, that replaces all the assets to look like the Doom 2016 assets, and builds all the Doom 2016 levels, and even adds glory kills.
Wow.
And it's all done in the original Doom engine. And it's that's the kind of thing we're looking at here, where you've got an older engine and they're doing actually pretty remarkable things with it.
Yeah, I mean, again...
Ow, that looks like pain. That looks painful.
Yeah, they took the Tony Hawk 2 foundation, which was already a great, solid foundation, and worked to add the major new additions like reverts and the major kind of quality of life updates like balance bars on grinding now. Though I guess the kind of differences you'll see, aside from, the levels being, close they could get, but missing a lot of the more interactable elements, just being things to grind or something instead of people to interact with, is that the collectibles you'll find in the level are still the stat points, but now the stat points are always in the same location for each skater.
Oh, I see.
Whereas in the Gen 6 version of Tony Hawk 3, based on what skater you pick, the set of 5 stat points and the hidden deck will be in different locations. Whereas here it's just find those. And then the 10th goal, like in Tony Hawk 2, is just a do everything else in the level goal. Do the other 9 challenges, find 5 stat points, get the deck, basically 100% the level.
Did they have a the deck? Did they have a challenge for hitting the switches or unjamming the valves or whatever it was?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, there it is. They're the valves.
Yeah, like in this case, for example, to compare them, instead of grinding something on each valve, you just run into it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, like it's a lot simpler in what you have to do. But again, kind of like I mentioned, comparing between, the Tony Hawk 2 physics and what they developed for the Gen 6 version of Tony Hawk 3, each single trick has more weight in the older engine. And so you're not, riding around at hyperspeed, and tricking off anything and everything. But to me, I feel like I can hit, more tricks kind of as I want, what I want.
Yeah. You feel more, there's more precision there.
Right, yeah.
Because in Tony Hawk 3, you're moving, everything happens so quickly that it's almost like, some wild horses running away from you, and you're just holding on for dear life. Yeah,
with,
this is more like a trained, you know what you're doing. Just relax.
Yeah,
Going at a nice even trot. A little bit fast. It gets fast.
Yeah.
It's just not too fast.
Yeah. With all of the elements of like being able to switch up your grinds while grinding, or the kind of hidden combos, or switching up like your lip tricks and such, versus here where they don't have any of that in this version.
I think part of the reason that they can throw so much at you is the draw distance in the PS1 games is limited, so they can't make you faster. They can't make, if you accelerate towards something in the darkness that you can't see, you have no time to react to it. So you have to, just as a technical limitation, move slower and more deliberately to give you the player time to know it's coming.
Right, yeah. Look at the, rendering in of the level in front of you here in this version versus comparing to the Gen 6 version where you can see that.
Yeah, you can see clear across the level the entire time, and as a result, they have the freedom to say, okay, well, they might plan a huge run-up to this jump, but I don't know. I actually think that technical limitation worked to their advantage stylistically in this case. But I don't know. Some people will say this game is better than that one, et cetera, et cetera. It's a difference of opinions.
Yeah. And so I'm excited to show off both versions of the game for people who haven't seen it before, like me. Again, I never played this PS1 version before doing this for 2020. And I should also mention, you probably have already posted your comments, so I'm giving you the chance to go and delete it now.
No, they won't.
As I mentioned, this was released for PlayStation 1 and Nintendo 64, and the Tony Hawk 3 version on Nintendo 64 is actually the final N64 game released for the console.
Oh, ever?
Yeah. It came out in 2001. Actually,
holy shit, yeah, wow, okay.
After releasing new N64s had ceased production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
But it was a really popular series, so I can see them, trying to go back.
And the video game industry wasn't big enough that you could just expect a bunch of people to buy the new console.
Right.
I'm surprised. So the levels are unlocked in a different order?
They are mostly the same order, but for some reason, the second level and the second to last level are flipped in this one.
Oh.
Here in the PS1 version, instead of going to Canada second, we're going to Los Angeles second. And then in the Gen 6 version, Los Angeles will be the second to last level.
Oh.
Whereas here, Canada's the second to last level. They really took those two levels and flipped them.
So after the second level, it just resumes normal order.
Yes.
The two line up. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And then second to last, yeah.
But make sure to, I guess, join us next time to get a sneak peek at the Los Angeles environment on the Gen 5 version of Tony Hawk 3.